Welcome back to Game Set and Chat. Today we sit down with professional goalkeeper Conor O'Keefe. Thanks for joining us today, Conor.
No problem.
We're going to jump straight in.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who don't know you, could you just tell our audiences who you are, a bit about yourself, what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Conor O'Keefe. I am a goalkeeper. Currently, I play football in Sweden with a club called Piteå EF, who are in the third division in Sweden. But I'm from Macclesfield, from the northwest. Went to Fallabroom School in Macclesfield. Always played football since I was a young kid, and I've played obviously in England and then a few countries, Spain, Sweden. So yeah, been a bit all over the place, but it's been a fun path so far.
How did you end up in Sweden? That's a random place to be.
It's a strange one. I mean, like I mentioned, I played from when I was a kid all the way through school, club football, university, full-time at Macclesfield. And then during the pandemic, obviously everything kind of shut down. I was playing in Spain. I was playing in Gibraltar at that point.
Right.
And the league got cancelled. Football had stopped. I was back in the UK. And Sweden was one of the only countries in in Europe that was still playing their football league. Spent a lot of time contacting lots of clubs, lots of managers, lots of agents, and managed to find a slot with a club that needed a goalkeeper in Piteå, and moved up there, which is very, very far north. If anyone knows Piteå, it's about 2 hours from the Arctic Circle. It's right up in the north of the country, but really nice town, great club, and really enjoyed it there.
Yeah, amazing. So you're a footballer.
Mm-hmm.
Why football? Or maybe why goalkeeping? I think there's always a bit of a stereotype with goalkeepers that they're a bit wild, a bit mad.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of truth in it. I think every goalkeeper has a little bit of probably a little bit of madness in them. I always loved football. I was in a football family. Like my dad, my granddad, big Man United fans. My brother's only about 18 months younger than me, so when we were born, we were kind of just kicking a ball from very early age.
Nice.
And I always enjoyed kind of diving around, living in Macclesfield, normally in the mud, and trying to make saves. And fortunately, my brother, he was the opposite. He liked shooting, he liked trying to score, so we just spent hours in the garden, him just kicking balls at me and me trying to make saves. And went from there. Always enjoyed the feeling of making a save more than the feeling of scoring a goal, which is probably a bit mad, but yeah.
No, nice. You mentioned Macclesfield. So when we sort of did a bit of research on you, we sort of discovered that you were full-time at Macclesfield. They offered you your scholarship and you turned it down. That's a big decision, a brave decision. What was the thinking behind that?
I've been at Macclesfield since I was 11. So since I started secondary school at Fallabroom, I joined the Centre of Excellence at Macclesfield in the 13s, kind of went all the way through. And I was never a kid that said, I'm going to be a footballer. It wasn't like my one dream.
Yeah.
I enjoyed lots of different things at school. But I just kept being kind of kept on. And it got to under 16s when they normally hand out the scholarships. And I was like, I might actually get one here. Like I might be quite good.
Yeah.
And they did. They offered me a scholarship. And at the time, the process with the scholarship was you left school at that point.
Absolutely,
you left school at 16. You did a BTEC in sports science with the club.
Yeah.
Trained full time. But I enjoyed school. I was good at school. I got good grades in my GCSEs. I wanted to do my A-levels. And it was a bit of a difficult decision for me because I wanted to play football. I wanted to see how far I could take it. But at the same time, I knew I wanted to carry on with my studies.
Yeah.
So I spoke with the club, I spoke with the school, and they were both brilliant with me, my parents as well. And we managed to come to a kind of arrangement where I could do both. So what I ended up doing was I did 3 AS levels instead of 4 at Fallabroom. I did maths, English literature, business economics. But then the club allowed me, instead of signing a full YTS scholarship, I basically signed as a trialist. So I signed trialist forms for 2 years. So I was able to train with the club. I was able to play matches.
Right.
I was basically everything apart from a paid YTS scholar. So I used to train in the morning and then I'd drive back to school, do my classes in the afternoon. The school had adapted my schedule so I could do both. And it was a very kind of unique position because I don't think if I'd been at a different school or a different club, I don't think I would have been allowed to do it. But fortunately for me, I came out with 2 A's and a B in my A-levels and also got offered a full-time pro at Macclesfield for the following season. So I got the best of both.
Did you take that?
Yeah, so I did a year full-time after my A-levels at Macclesfield. And I was the third choice keeper, kind of young keeper at that point. Didn't really play very much. And because of the process of studying at Fallabroom and doing the normal A-level route, I had applied for universities as part of the UCAS programme.
Yeah.
and I'd applied for Loughborough. Once I got the offer of the pro, I deferred Loughborough for a year.
Right.
But having spent that year kind of not really playing and not really being part of the first team, I then decided to take the offer at Loughborough after that year at Macclesfield as a full-time player.
Right. Wow. So obviously you've just spoken about Loughborough and our audience, obviously, and why this has been set up is there is a lot of there's a buzz around us in Loughborough at the minute. So what was your experience at studying at Loughborough? How was that?
Brilliant, amazing place.
Yeah.
Like, again, originally I was almost dead set against going to university. I kind of thought, right, I'd done my A-levels, I'd combined that with football. It was very intense, a lot of hard work to do the both, but very rewarding. And I was like, I'm in full-time, football's my thing now, I'm going to go for it. But being a young goalkeeper, not getting much game time, my mum and dad were like, go and have a look at Loughborough, go and see what it's about. I thought, okay, fine, fair enough. So I went down for a sports open day just for the induction of potential athletes, and seeing the facilities at Loughborough, seeing the programme at Loughborough for all sports, elite sports, but especially for football. Yeah. Seeing the stadium, the coaches, like the S&C programme.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Even compared to Macclesfield, where I was at, which was a full-time club, it was another level. It was like a Premier League or a Championship club. Yeah. And I thought, the fact that I can go there, get that kind of facility, that kind of specialised training, play matches as well, because Loughborough are one of the few universities in football where they also play non-league as well as university football. So loads of matches, which is what I needed as a goalkeeper, and also studying, which was something I really enjoyed doing. And there was the opportunity to do a degree that I was interested in, which was international business.
I think that's interesting. You didn't choose sport.
No.
And why? Because again, the natural route, I suppose, or what a lot of people who are interested in sport or play sport at a really high level inevitably will then go on to study sport. So why did you not do that?
Like I said before, all the way growing up, I was always interested in different things. Yeah. And I did PE, GCSE, but I never really clicked with kind of sports science or PE to take it further than that. Yeah. I had more of an interest in maths, in business, and seeing the combination of those two things. I think a lot of people say you need to be 100% in on plan A, which for me was always football. I did want to exceed in football. But I always found that if I had other things that I was doing, I had the capacity, and it almost grew my capacity. Yeah. That 1 year where I was full-time in football was probably my most lazy and unproductive time on the pitch and off the pitch. Yeah. But having more things to do, more things to study, it helped me to grow as an athlete as well as a person. And I think going to Loughborough was the perfect place for me to be able to do that. Yeah,
I might be going off piece a little bit now, but what do you feel then? So we have a lot of our students, we have, 8 or 9 sort of very talented footballers on the programme, and inevitably when they get 16, they're going to have to make that choice. Yeah. And I suppose it's not just, it's a sporting issue, I suppose. If we take rugby, we take cricket, they encourage them to want to do their A-levels and stay within that system. And I know that the students or the scholars have now got to stay in education to their 18. But there's a bit of where, I suppose what I'm trying to say, is there an issue in football that's stopping these students, or actually are football just behind that they're not really understanding how important education is within that?
Football in this country? Yeah. I've seen other countries, Germany for example, they really encourage higher education until 18 as opposed to 16. It is getting better here. Yeah. Like you said, things are changing. Yeah. And I know especially with the elite clubs, United City near here, they are doing more to help those kids that can do more and want to do more.
But there is that sort of, there's still that pressure when you get to 16. It's 100%. Like, this is it. And then the percentages that make it are very, very, it's tiny.
But what I would say to the players is try and take the initiative, have confidence in yourself that you can do both. Yeah. A lot of people told me I couldn't. Yeah. I remember going to see the education lady who was in charge of the BTEC program for all the clubs around us with Macclesfield. My parents went and she said, you won't be able to do it. You'll fail at both. You won't get the pro, you won't get your A-levels. It's too much. I could do it with the help of my school, my club, my parents and that kind of ecosystem around me. So I'd say to the clubs, try and encourage and help those players to do more. Yeah. But also to the players, stand up for yourself. If you want to do more, ask if you can do more. Try and do more, because you often have more of a capacity to do it than people say you do.
I think that's a really interesting mindset. It's quite refreshing to hear, actually. So you didn't give up on your football dream whilst you were at Loughborough, did you? There was a time where you actually, again, the whole conversation is combining both. But there was a point in your Loughborough degree which gave you the opportunity to go and not try again, but to combine that study with professional sport.
Yeah. So my degree program was a 4-year program, and in the third year, students on the international business course, they could either study abroad, do an Erasmus program, or they could go into a work placement for a year. And I knew if I went into a work placement for a year, it'd be difficult for me to continue that kind of path of doing my football full time. It would take a year out almost. So I decided to do the Erasmus program. And I thought, what a brilliant opportunity to maybe try and play abroad. And I looked at all the universities that I could go to. I saw one in Madrid. I'd grown up watching Revista de la Liga on Sky Sports. Like Iker Casillas was my favourite keeper. Yeah. I was like, maybe I can try and find a club in Madrid. So I signed up for the program, got accepted into that university, and then basically from there it was about trying to find a club. And I didn't have an agent. I didn't speak Spanish. I didn't know anyone that played in Spain. So what I decided to do, I made an Excel spreadsheet, and I listed all the clubs from La Liga all the way down to like 7th tier that were within an hour of the university that I was studying in. So I put in like the address of the club, the manager, the email, the phone number, rang every single one, emailed every single one, nothing. So then I said to my girlfriend, right, what are we going to do? And I was really lucky, my girlfriend speaks Spanish. Okay. So we were like, right, why don't we just book a fly to Madrid, hire a car, and let's just drive around them all. So that's what we did. We flew there. We spent a week driving around every single club. I wrote out kind of handwritten letters in Spanish. She translated for me. And I put them in these golden envelopes because I thought if you get a golden envelope, you're going to open it. Like if you get a brown envelope, you might chuck it. So if it's a gold one, they're probably going to open it. And I literally drove to it. We drove to every single one of these clubs just handing out these envelopes. And I managed to get a pre-season at Rayo Vallecano, who were quite a big club in Madrid. They were in the 2nd tier at the time. And from that pre-season, I joined a club called Fuenlabrada, who were in the 3rd division. And I was basically with them for that full year, whilst I was, again, it was like revisiting A-levels, playing and training in the morning and then going back and doing my studies in the afternoon. And a brilliant experience for me to experience a different type of football. I grew as a player massively, but also to live abroad, study abroad, learn a new language, to grow as a person, which is from that education pathway. That was an unbelievable year. Yeah, I think that's amazing.
So again, you just mentioned education. So you've got a YouTube channel that you have publicised to help young goalkeepers.
Yeah, goalkeepers of all ages. Like when I was in Madrid that I decided to start it because I was I'd had this weird pre-season, signed with these clubs, and I was like, this is like, if I was a kid, I'd have loved to see this. Yeah. Like I'm a smaller goalkeeper. When I was in England, everyone always said, you won't make it, you're not tall enough. I went to Spain, no one was questioning my height. They were looking at my ability. I was getting these opportunities, and I thought maybe I can almost document my journey of what's happening and show boys, girls, old, young goalkeepers that you can play in different places. You can do it yourself. You don't need an agent. You don't need to be at an elite academy. You don't need to, you can do different, there's different paths in the game. Yeah. And I just decided to document my process with that. And I've continued it from there. And the YouTube channel is pretty big now. I think we've got 66,000 subscribers or something. And goalkeepers all over the world, all ages that I get messages from that really enjoy the videos. They take stuff from it. So yeah, it's a nice other project to have alongside
absolutely football. And it's still it's the education side, isn't it, that's been sort of very vivid in throughout this and your whole journey. And it's it's a
slightly different thing. I think people think YouTube channels and they think the kind of viral stuff, people are making quite big videos acting up. The stuff that we've done has always been along the lines of I'm going to show you what happens, the good and the bad. I'm going to be very honest with it. I'm not trying to get clickbait titles. I'm not trying to just get as many people to watch me as possible. It's an educational channel to help people, and it's also documenting my journey so that if there's any value other people can take from that, then that's the perfect outcome.
Brilliant. If anyone wants to look at it, what's it called? What?
It's just Conor O'Keefe. Just search my name, Conor O'Keefe, and you'll find it. And,
amazing.
So hopefully people can get something from it.
Yeah, no, that's great. So why do you think academia is so important in sport?
From my experience, a couple of things. I think it really helped me to become good at managing my time, good at my kind of productivity, having to plan in when to do my homework, when to do my exam revision alongside my training. That kind of ability made me very good at managing time. Also, sounds funny, but a concentration element. Having been, I remember in year 10, year 11, kind of going into 2-hour exams and finding it easy to concentrate because it paralleled with my sport.
Yeah.
And I had almost the same mindset going into that exam hall as I did walking onto a pitch.
Yeah.
And also I'd see friends who just studied, who found it difficult to concentrate for that amount of time. And then friends at football that found it difficult to concentrate for the full game. So it helped me with the concentration. And then finally, I think just the education pathway helps you to create a mindset where you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to improve, you have that growth mindset. And if you can translate that into your sport, that puts you ahead of a lot of people who just rely on that innate talent that they've been told they've had since a very young age. And I found, looking back at the lads that I played with at youth team level, even coming out of that, a lot of them have stopped, even though they were probably more talented than me. They maybe never learned that ability to learn, to grow, to try and improve, which I think academics really helped me to develop. And that's really pushed me through in my game, especially over the last 3-4 years.
Yeah. I think that's it. Again, I think it's really important that you hear a lot of stories of very, very talented footballers who just don't live up to the hype. There's a lot of instances where that's happened. And, but it's interesting that you feel that education allows or supports that to happen. So
and alongside that, it makes me more. I don't consider myself a footballer. That's not the label that I give myself. I feel like there's a lot more to me than that. And I feel a lot of footballers and athletes are trapped with that label. People only see them as the footballer, the runner, the rugby player. Whereas I've always enjoyed different things. Like I said before, I've always enjoyed studying different things, learning about different things. I feel like I'm a much bigger person than just the goalkeeper Connor or the footballer Connor.
Yeah.
And education gave me the ability to identify that and then to go and find out other things that I like and learn about them and grow in that way, which I think is really important as an athlete. Because when you lose that label, a lot of people go through really tough times trying to find who they are. So that's been something that has been really valuable for me.
Brilliant. So finally, we round off every one of our episodes with offering a piece of advice. So if you could take yourself back to when you were a little bit younger, and I'm sure you've sort of had a very not natural progression to elite sport, but I'm sure there's been mistakes along the way or things that you could have changed. If you could give your younger self one bit of advice, what would that be?
It's hard. I think it would be along the lines of, it sounds cliche, but control the controllables.
Okay.
Don't worry about the things that are outside of your control, the outside noise, the outside opinions too, whether that's with education, whether that's with my height, whether that's with the level that I'm playing at. Focus on the things that you can control and get really good at them.
Yeah.
Practice, improve, work, try your best to be the best in all those things that you can control. And then that's when you create waves and you create a pathway for yourself and you create a route through. If you listen to everything outside, then that can sometimes paralyze you from actually getting the work done. So trust those around you that you trust yourself, back yourself, control those controllables and go for it. Give it everything you got, whatever that is in football, education, work, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, that's great. Conor, well, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
No, not at all. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.